There we go. That's fabulous. Well, as I say, a very, very warm welcome to absolutely everybody. It's a really exciting session today because what we've got is a session on really how to get more clients. But as you can probably imagine, there's a little bit more to it than that. So if you don't mind, if I can just give you a final quick reminder just to mute yourselves, that would be absolutely fantastic. And then what I'm going to do is just have a quick look down just to make sure. And Lauren, if you can do the same, please, lovely. If you can just look down the list of attendees, just to see if anybody isn't muted just yet. Sometimes it takes a little while to do that. For some, for some people, for some, yeah, that's it. We're all muted. Brilliant stuff. So what I'm going to do, without further ado, is to share my screen because I've created a presentation for you, and I'm just going to find that. It'll be on my desktop. So ignore my messy desktop and just bear with me at the moment because there we go. Righty-ho, lovely. That's the one we want. There we are. So I had great fun putting this together for you. I really, really did. It was so enjoyable. So I'll just put myself up. Hang on one sec. Well, I've got Lauren at the moment. I'm just going to hide, bring ourselves back. I'm going to just move me over and pin the spot like that. Okay, there we go. So you should be able to see me speaking and describing things and so on. So as I say, we're actually looking at how to get more clients. We've been we've got well over 300 people today on this course, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm so pleased to see you all here. It's quite exciting because complementary medicine is such an exciting and dynamic field, isn't it? So let's talk about what we're actually covering today. Well, the first thing we're looking at is obviously proven strategies to get more clients. So what we're going to look at is we're going to dive deep, and this isn't going to be one of those sessions where I just say, oh, go and do some advertising, oh, go and, do some social media and, post on Facebook, because quite frankly, that's not going to serve you. That's not really going to help you at all. So what we're going to do is take a really, really deep dive. Now, I just want to say that we've got a lot of new people here today because, as you know, the CMA is growing so fast. So I just want to say a very warm welcome to all our new members who may not have seen or participated in these Friday afternoon tutorials before. So the way that things work, those of you who've been with me really right since the very beginning of when we started these at the beginning of lockdown, know that every single thing I present to you is evidence-based. I don't make this stuff up as I go along. I promise you it's all absolutely evidence-based so that you know that it actually works, so that you know that everything I'm telling you, I can go to the research and I can explain exactly why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we've got to really deconstruct the practice that we really truly want, our ideal practice. That's the first thing we've got to do. We've got to look at, first of all, who we really want to serve. We're going to also cover evidence-based promotional strategies that really work. So as I said just now, I'm not going to be saying to you just jump on Facebook and make some posts. That's just like, slinging mud at a wall and hoping that some of it will stick, and it probably won't, especially if it's raining. So we've got to be a bit more savvy than that, and that's what I'm going to help you with today. We're also going to talk about expert recognition. Now, that's not how to recognize an expert, but it's actually how to recognize your own expertise. Now, before anybody runs away and says, oh, but Jayney, I'm not an expert, I've just qualified, or, I'm only just starting out, and by no means am I an expert. I will actually explain to you, and you will leave this session today understanding and embracing your own expertise. So it's really, really important that you don't throw your toys out of the pram and say, oh, that's a load of rubbish. I'm new to this game. I can't possibly be an expert. I promise you that you actually can, and you actually are, because you have a completely and utterly unique viewpoint. You have a unique way of approaching your work. Your life experience is completely and utterly unique to you. And that's what you bring to your practice. And that's really where this concept of expertise comes from. So as I say, I do promise that you will leave this session with a full understanding of where your points of expertise lie. And it's a really beautiful thing to discover. So the other thing we're going to cover is understanding and conveying the value of your services. It's crucial that you know the value of what you provide so that you can understand how to shape your marketing to get more clients. And we're also going to be looking at actually how to get the message out. It's really important because there's no point in hiding your light under a bushel and just hoping that people trip over that bushel and find you somehow. That's not going to work to build a practice. And finally, we're going to be talking about sustainability. So it's no good. I would be doing you a disservice if I said, okay, right, this is the way you get new clients, and then not telling you how to sustain that, because it costs way more money to get new clients and time and effort than to nurture your existing client base and keep those clients coming back to see you. Your existing clients, or if you're just starting out in complementary medicine and you haven't yet built a client base, the clients that you will bring on with the techniques and tips that I'm showing you today, which have all been proven to work over many, many years, will create your client base. And then we will do other sessions on how to nurture that client base. But it's all about sustainability of your clientele and your database, your client base, and other things that you must do, because you must never put all your eggs in one basket when you're building your practice. So we're going to look at other things like multiple streams of income. So as you can see, we're covering a lot today. If you've got any questions, leave them in the chat box as always. And then what I'll do is after the end of the session, I will go over the questions. Okay, so if there's anything that's not clear at all, just let me know. Okay. So the good thing is that I really want to tell you about is that complementary medicine is growing. Now, here at the Complementary Medical Association, we're actually getting between 10 to 30 new CMA members every single week in, week out. Why is that? Well, it's because yes, complementary medicine as a field is growing because people, there are various reasons. And I did a TV interview about this not so long ago. Why is complementary medicine growing? Because people have a mistrust, a distrust, if you like, of the pharmaceutical industry. People are starting to take much more responsibility for their own health and well-being. People want to choose their path and be empowered on their course to well-being. And a lot of people are starting to realize that unfortunately, there's no such thing as a magic wand or a magic bullet that we can either shoot at you or wave at you that's actually going to magically make you better. And so people are starting to realize that actually, contrary to the sort of the medical model, which is very patriarchal, as we know, which is very much sort of, you do this, you take this medicine. Why is that, doctor? Because I said so. That's so last century that, you know, we've been there, seen it, done it. We've got the t-shirt and the mouse mat, and we know it's just not very empowering. So what's happening is that people are actually looking at what can they do to look after themselves. And you only have to look at the massive rise in things like, plant-based ranges in supermarkets and things like that, where people are starting to sit up and think, actually, well, you know what, maybe I need to actually take responsibility for what's going on, in the real world. So just bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to stop sharing for just a second, and I will then come straight back to this. Okay, that's it. Yeah, sorry, I just noticed a glitch. Can you just give me a thumbs up? Are you all seeing the presentation okay? Fabulous, thank you. That's great. I just had some really weird looking stuff going on my screen there, and I just wanted to check in with you to make sure it's all okay. There we go. So we're back. Lovely. So as I say, we're getting this massive influx of new members. That's 10 to 30 new members a week at the CMA, and that's not including renewals, obviously. So, obviously, you join for a year and then your renewal time comes up and you rejoin and so on, which is absolutely fantastic. So we're just going absolutely great guns, which is so exciting. And we're so grateful to have all of you with us and supporting our work so that we can support you in turn. So one of the questions, though, that's often asked is, does practice growth training really work? You can sit here and you can hopefully enjoy this presentation. And the truth of the matter is that no, it's not going to work unless you actually do things. So I can talk to you until I'm blue in the face, but unless you go away and actually do the work, it's not going to work for you. Okay. But I just want to share this particular thing because this absolutely, we used to run live events, and we will be running more live events as soon as we're allowed to do so, because there's nothing quite as magical as all being together in a room, although we can get great group energy going on things like Zoom anyway, if we know how. And I think we've managed to master that over all these months. But the thing is that, as I say, unless you go and do the work, it's not going to happen for you. So I really do want to slightly gently and kindly crack the whip and just give you that quick sort of swift kick up the bum, just to say, I'm giving you a lot of really, really good proven to work information here. But unless you go away and do it, then, it's just nothing is going to change. You know that. But let's take a little look at this lovely testimonial that somebody sent me from one of our lovely live events. Let me pop myself up there out of the way. The testimonial is, I'd like to give a testimonial to Jayney for the personal critiques she gave me, which was worth at least 10 times the course fee. He goes on to say, by applying just 2 of the strategies she suggested, we have seen a 300% increase in inquiries to our full-page adverts. They were using full-page ads at that particular time. I also ran a special offer on stop smoking, and from an investment of £720 in advertising costs, I received £6,650 in fees. So, if anyone is serious about running a successful complementary health business, I strongly suggest they attend your marketing workshop. This is from a lovely guy called Gary Foster, consultant hypnotherapist. Now, let me let you into a secret. Some of you know this, and obviously people who are new don't know this. What happened in March 2020, of course, as we went into the first lockdown, and we had created a course on practice development. So the workshops that we did live, we thought, okay, let's make it into an online course. And we were literally just about to launch that course, and then lockdown hit. And we looked at it and we thought, oh God, we can't do this. We can't put this practice development course out when our members, practitioners, are struggling. They're going to lose their businesses because of lockdown. They can't see patients. What the heck are we going to do? And we thought about it, and within 24 hours we went bang, and we put the courses. We started these sessions. This is how these Zoom sessions all came about. We started these Friday afternoon sessions, these tutorials, and they were all actually based on everything that we were teaching in the course that we were going to put out as a paid course. We thought, no, we have to give the course away. That's the only ethical thing to do to keep you guys afloat. And then, of course, as you know, we then negotiated hard with the government to make sure that they stopped calling us all massage parlors and putting us all in the massage parlor grouping. So we got that changed, and then we got the government to admit that complementary medical practitioners, CMA members, were allowed to return to work during lockdown because we were making such a massive difference to the health of the nation, mentally and with mental and emotional health issues, with pain and injury syndromes, and with conditions, of course, that would have become worse had the patient or the client not continued to get treatment. And we got that written into the actual legislation, that is law. And we got that put in there, which is a massive feather in our caps. The other thing is also, let me just tell you about somebody else. So going back to these live events, these workshops that we used to do, I remember giving my first ever Developing Your Professional Practice talk at a industry conference called CAM Expo. Those of you that have been with me for a long time will remember that. It finished a few years ago. But we are looking at recreating CAM Expo, and I know that will please a lot of you, because it was the industry's chance for us all to get together, for us all to meet up, for a conference, for expos, all sorts of exciting things that used to go on. It was magical, it really was. So I gave this presentation and on how to develop your professional practice, and a lovely young girl came up to me afterwards and said, look, I'm actually a sci-fi novelist and science fiction and science fantasy novelist. She said, but I'm actually looking at giving that up and going full-time with my practice, and you've just told me what you've told me, and I'm going to do it. I said, I'm going to come on your course and I'm going to actually do everything you say, because I really believe that you do know what you're talking about. And that was wonderful, because don't forget that, I founded the CMA 28 years ago, and in that last 28 years, I've seen every permutation of practice there is. And in my own practice, I've tried absolutely everything. So I can tell you what works and I can tell you what doesn't work. So this lovely girl, Jo Beth Chapman from Ely in Cambridgeshire, not only did she come and do my workshop, she gave up the day job and then she set up her practice. And then what happened was that she got very successful. So she had a chat with the building owner and said, "Look, I'm doing really, really well here. Could I take over the building and run an actual clinic with other practitioners in it?" And so the guy said, "Well, yeah, okay, if we can come to a financial agreement for you to buy the building." So she did. And then she bought the building next door and she set up a shop in it, like a pagan shop, that sort of thing, and so on. Talk about a success story. And she came up to me a few years later and she was telling me about all of this. And I said, "How did you do it?" And she said, "What I did," which said, "I took your book." So I created like a course book that they worked through on the day and then took away and worked through afterwards. And I just went through every single page and I just did it step by step, doing exactly what you told me to do. And that's how I managed to actually create this big company. So it does work, but only if you do the work. So, and also only if you do it right. With practice growth and client acquisition, we have to look internally first at our own stuff. Only then, with a full understanding of who our ideal client is, we can get it to work. So the other thing I must tell you from an evidence-based perspective is that I'm so geeky about practice growth and supporting practitioners and knowing what does work and what doesn't work that I've actually based my MSc, my Master of Science dissertation and research study on teasing out those factors that make certain practitioners able to thrive in practice, and while the majority of practitioners really, really struggle. It is a hard profession, but if you do what I'm telling you to do, it will work, I promise you. Okay, so with a full understanding of who our ideal client is, we can then get to work. But first, before we do that, I want us to dig really, really deep. Okay, I want us to go back to that whole Simon Sinek video, that most popular YouTube video ever, I think, so far. Simon Sinek, What is Your Why? Go back to when you first decided to become a practitioner or teacher, because I know that we've got many, many trainers and teachers and training school principals and owners in this group as well. And I really want you to look back at what motivated you. Who did you want to help? Had you yourself been treated successfully? Was that your motivation for getting into complementary medicine? Presumably you did so because you also wanted to help other people. What else could there have been? I want you to really, this first step is to regain your passion. And if you need to go and watch that Simon Sinek video, then please by all means do so. Just go to YouTube, put in Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-C-K, I think it's either S-I-N-E-K or S-I-N-E-C-K. I think it's S-I-N-E-K. Anyway, I'm sure somebody can look that up for me and let me know. So yeah, I really, really want us all to really regain our passion, because without passion, you can't grow a business of any description. You've got to be into it because it's not easy. I'm going to level with you. It doesn't just happen, overnight. You do have to put the work in. But my goodness, this field is one of the most rewarding fields you could ever, ever possibly be in. So you're in the right place. So who do you really want to serve? How well do you understand your dig deep? To understand them, your target, and that doesn't make any sense. Oh dear, sorry, I do apologize. What that is, and I will correct it on the handouts. What I'm actually saying there is, how well do you understand your audience? You've got to dig deep to really get to grips with them. Okay, you've got to really understand who your target audience is so that you can actually shape your messaging to them. That's absolutely crucial. What I mean by messaging is the kind of wording that you use on your website, the kind of wording that you use in any promotional material. If you can understand who your target audience is and really get to grips with who they are, and we're going to come on to how we do that in just a second, then it will actually inform the kind of phrases you use, the kind of emotion that you engender in the words that you write on the page or on your website or even in your social media posts. So what I want you to do is to pick an individual person and really get to grips with who they are. Sorry about the wonky words on the screen. It's gone very strange. Anyway, not to worry. It's just one of those things. Oh, Mercury retrograde. That's what it is. So what are their interests? What is their life like? What keeps this person up at night? What are their pain points? How do they define success? So let's just look at those now for just a little bit, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper into this. So what I really want you to do is to think about the person that you would love to work with. If you could wave a magic wand at this point, who would that be? It may be a real person that you know, or it may be an imaginary person. Truth be told, your brain can't distinguish between real and imaginary anyway, if you make the imaginary realistic enough. So what I want you to do is to conjure this person. You might want to think about them sitting across the table from you. You might want to think about, I don't know, perhaps taking a beautiful walk in the countryside with the person and talking to them, asking them questions. What are their interests? What's your life really like? So, what are they interested in? Or are they interested in music? Are they interested in art? Are they interested in sport? Are they, what are their interests? What really, probably if they have children, they're probably really interested in their kids, what the kids get up to and so on. What's their life like? Are they busy? Are they running around like a crazy person? Or are they, fairly chilled out? Are they leading a fairly relaxed life and so on? What are their worries? What keeps them up at night? What causes, what's their cause for concern? We need to know all of these things because these are the things that people come to us with. What are their pain points? Now, I must explain, when I talk about pain points, I'm using that term from a marketing perspective. A lot of the terminology I will use today is marketing speak because we do have to be entrepreneurs as practitioners. Wouldn't it be lovely if we could just set up in practice and people just fight their way to our door and just, we don't have to wave a marketing wand at all. And it just all magically happens. But unfortunately, it doesn't. We have to get out there. We have to have a marketing hat as well. So when I talk about pain points, what I mean is, what is it that has moved them outside their comfort zone? What is it that's causing them anxiety or distress or worry or fear or whatever it is? What is it? You've got to get a feel, you've got to get a grip for what that particular person's difficulty is. So, for example, a lot of the people that come to see my demographic, and so I have an international practice, and a lot of the people that come to see me, my core demographic tends to be women suffering from burnout. And so they tend to be high-level executives. They tend to be suffering from burnout. So their fear is, am I going to be able to hold on to my job? Am I going to, is this burnout going to essentially put an end to my career? How am I going to keep the wolf from the door? How am I going to keep a roof over my head? All of those sorts of things. These are all what we would classify as pain points. And then, of course, also we need to understand how they define success. And again, what I mean by that is success as far as how will they know whether the work that you're doing with them has been successful? So what is the outcome that they want? So, for example, again, just to give you an overview of my demographic, my ladies will feel that things have been successful when they get their energy levels back. A lot of them will say, when I get my mojo back. A lot of them will say, I will look better, I will feel better, I'll be able to enjoy work again, I'll be able to socialize with my colleagues, life will just be back to how it was, 5-10 years ago. So so that's my very, very deep dive into my particular demographic. So I want you doing those exercises with your demographic if you have one already. If not, your imaginary ideal client, because that's how we're going to grow your practice. So I've got a really nice little graphic for you here, your ideal client. You can print this out, and if anybody wants this, you are more than welcome. I'm happy to send it to you. Also, the other thing is that if anybody's interested in reading my dissertation on thriving to practice, practicing to thrive, to see the geeky analysis of how we understand what really, really works in practice to grow a practice, I will be telling you about it. We are coming on to it. But if anybody actually wants to see my dissertation, I'm more than happy to send it to you. So you just need to let me know. It makes excellent bedtime reading because as you know, academic writing is the most dry, dull, boring thing ever, ever, ever. But you know what? If you suffer from insomnia, it could just be the cure you need. Anyway, all joking aside, let's look at things. Let's look at this avatar. An avatar, we use the term avatar. I'm sure most of you will, of course, understand and you'll have seen my video on avatar creation already on the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel, I really strongly suggest you go over there and you check it out, because we've got all of these videos. We record all these videos, all of these tutorials, we've got them over there. It's like a masterclass in business and practice development, okay? So you go over and check the avatar video, because it takes a really deep dive into this. So anyway, your avatar is your ideal client. It's an imaginary, notional person, if you will, that actually encapsulates exactly who it is that you want to work with. So what's this person's goals and values? Write down their age, write down their gender, marital status, number, age of children, location, challenges and pain points. What are the challenges they're facing? What are the pain points? We just talked about that. Where do they get their information from? Do they get info from books? Do they get it from magazines, blogs, websites, social media gurus, others? What sort of quote would encapsulate this kind of person? What would be the sort of quote that they would kind of live by? What's their job? What's their occupation? What are their passions? What's their annual income, level of education, other objections and role in purchase process? This comes later, really. Objections to the sale, i.e. making an appointment to see you, and what is their role in the purchase process? Do they have to ask somebody? Does somebody else have a say in whether or not they can come to see you? Now you'll think, you may well be thinking at this point, well, this is kind of difficult because I don't really know anybody. I don't really have a client like this. It doesn't matter. You can do this as is an imaginary exercise. It's a sort of a kind of like a mental gymnastics, if you like. And it's very important that you do this work, because what it will do is it will get your mindset right, so that you start to understand who you want to target. It is absolutely crucial. And also be aware that your avatar identity is a fluid thing. It is dynamic and it will change over the years. So I advise you very strongly to come back and redo your avatar every 6 months, because it will change and you'll be amazed at just what the changes are. As your practice grows, it's interesting, you may get some clients coming along and you might be thinking initially, oh yes, this is my ideal client. And then after a few sessions, you might be thinking, oh, I don't know though, maybe my perfect client would be slightly different in some way. So again, come back to your avatar work and reshape. You see, this will help you shape your marketing language, what goes on your website and so on. And so you can always go back in and make all those little tweaks on your site, on your brochures if you have them, or whatever it is. And that will keep pushing you towards the ideal audience. Now, you may be thinking, that's incredibly niche. Do I really, really want to be that niche? Because, of course, in complementary medicine, we treat everything, don't we? We don't treat particular conditions. Somebody comes along and we treat them holistically. So therefore, somebody could come to me with insomnia. Somebody else could come to me with menopause issues. Somebody else could come with eczema. Yes, of course they could. But the point is that if you do this work correctly, you will populate your practice with the kinds of people you want to work with, who will tend to have the same sorts of pathologies. Mark my words, it's quite magical how that happens. It's astonishing, actually. So that's the reason I keep insisting on doing this work, because it works. So make it all as real as possible. Imagine that you're one of these ladies and you're sitting on a swing talking to your ideal client avatar, or wherever it is you want to be, on a bench in the woods or wherever, it doesn't matter. Wherever is realistic for you, do the work, making it as real as you possibly can. This will stand you in very, very, very good stead. As I say, it's got to be a real person. My approach is actually a person I actually know. So I even have a name for her. She is somebody I would love to have as a client, and I'm lucky enough to have her as a client. And there has to be emotional engagement. You have to feel really happy and optimistic about working with this person. Now, the one thing I do want to say is that coming back to the idea of, but yeah, but in complementary medicine, we treat all sorts of different people. Yes, of course we do. But the interesting thing is that when you start speaking and getting your messaging out to your ideal client, what will happen is that you'll build a practice, and yes, other people through word of mouth will come along to you, and they'll say, oh, you saw my friend and you really helped her, but I have got XYZ. They may not be your ideal client, but the point is, yes, of course you can take them on as a client. It doesn't matter that they're not. But the thing about Pareto or Pareto's principle, as I know that you know, is that 20% of your clients, if you do the work I'm telling you, will be responsible for generating 80% of your income and your profit. Okay, and it works also with effort. 20% of the effort that you make in doing these sorts of exercise will result in a massive 80% of actionable stuff that really happens to grow your practice. It's very, very interesting. And of course, if you're making 80% of effort and you're trying and trying and trying and using a scattergun approach, you'll get a very, very poor return on your effort. So this is why I'm saying we've got to be incredibly targeted. Now, I have made another video for you on creating your individual niche. It's another extremely important video that I want you to go and watch, please, if you haven't done so already. Because when you marry up the avatar and the niche, what then happens is you've got your roadmap. You know exactly what you're doing, with whom, and where you're going, and how you're delivering it and what you're delivering. So please go and do that work, because those are individual sessions. In fact, those are courses in and of themselves. As I say, it's all over there for you on the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel. So now let's look at, so we've talked about how to identify the type of client that you want. Now let's look at some evidence-based promotional strategies for you. So how do we get our message out? What really came out of my dissertation for my master's was speaking. It's all about communication, as I'm sure you realize. Speaking online and real world, if you can get yourself out there and if you can get speaking engagements, as I say, whether it's online or in the real world, that is the key to really growing your practice. Okay, this is the thing that makes the biggest difference. This is what the research found. Now, my study was global in nature and it crossed over all sorts of different complementary medical disciplines. So I wasn't just looking at homeopaths, I wasn't just looking at aromatherapists or reflexologists or nutritionists. I was really going really broad with this to find out what truly works in practice to grow it. It's speaking, it's communication, it's getting out there. But it's not just any old speaking. What I don't want you doing is going along let's say you get a really good golden gig at the Women's Institute, for example, when we're all allowed to get back out there and do these things. And that's always a very good, it's a good speaking gig because you get a good engaged audience and they're very interested. Now, don't do it if it's not your demographic. If your demographic is weekend warriors who play rugby on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning and get themselves all banged up and knocked about, or if you're like Andrew Hillman, I know we've got Andrew in the group who's working with cyclists and also with sports teams as well. Andrew's a brilliant sports therapist. So he's not going to go and speak to the Women's Institute, but he would go and speak to those groups, for example. I know, for example, that our lovely Jill Swire is in the group. Jill's going to be speaking to people who are curious about transitioning to raw, whole food, plant-based diets, plant-exclusive diets, and all of that sort of thing. So you've got to actually make sure that you're not wasting your energies. We've only got 24 hours in the day. Don't waste your energy by going and speaking to groups that are not right for you. Honestly, truly, it just will not serve you in any way, shape, or form. But the thing that you've got to do, and the magic in any speaking engagement, is 3 case studies and then telling people how you help people just like them. So you can go along, you can talk about, what is complementary medicine. Hello, I've been invited here today to talk about acupuncture. So you can talk a little bit about acupuncture, that's fine and good. But the point is that you can either make the decision that you're going to just go and give a lecture on acupuncture, which great, so what? Or you can go along to that highly targeted group and think, I'm going to set yourself a goal. I'm going to walk away from this group knowing you've got 30 people in the group, for example, with at least 10 new clients. Okay, how do you do that? What you do is you do your lovely presentation, which hopefully you've got some fantastically exciting things to talk about. Then give 3 case studies of people just like your audience and how you've helped them, and talk a little bit about the way that you work so that people can see what's in it for them. This is the marketing question that's always comes up. What's in it for me? That's what your client is asking. That's what your client wants to know. They don't really want to know what you do. They don't care if you're an acupuncturist. They don't care if you're a homeopath. They don't care if you're a reflexologist. They don't care if you're a nutritionist. All they care about is that they're feeling unwell and that they want some help. Or they're feeling pretty well and they want to be, upper level. So this is the point, is you've got to understand your audience. You've got to understand who you're targeting. And then you've got to tell stories. This is how sales works. You've got to tell stories about how you've helped people just like them. And you will get not a standing ovation, you'll get a running ovation if you target it correctly for people coming to get your brochures, leaflets, postcards, whatever it is, after the talk. Okay, that's how you build a practice from speaking. So of course, if you can't do it online, real world, you can do it online, and you can do exactly the same thing. And then you make sure at the end, because you can't give out leaflets or anything like that, you make sure at the end, when you're saying your goodbyes and your thanks and so on and so forth, or even when you're telling your case studies, if you've got a screen up and you're doing a presentation a bit like this with yourself in the corner as I am, and then you've got words on the screen, make sure your contact details are there front and center in big type so that people can actually write down how to get hold of you. Very, very, very important. Hope that helps. The next best thing is, of course, word of mouth. There's nothing better than somebody recommending you to somebody else. Testimonials are the next best thing to word of mouth. I did a tutorial on how to get testimonials and how to use them last week. Was it last week or was it the week before? It's very recent. Anyway, it's now up, and I think it was last week. I can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, go and watch that video. And I'm giving you lots of homework here, but if you're serious about growing your practice, these are the things you've got to do. Testimonials are very, very, very important. Make sure that you've got them on your website. Make sure that you've got testimonials if you do give out leaflets and things like that. When we're allowed to have people back and sitting in waiting rooms, for example, make sure you've got a book of testimonials that your clients can actually flick through whilst they're waiting. These are the sorts of things that you do need to do. Your website, make sure that your website's actually working for you. As you'll have heard me say before, if you've been with me before, or for anybody new, make sure that your website isn't just a really great big sort of lovely essentially meaningless logo at the top of the page, because there's such a thing called above the line and below the line. Okay, so in the olden days, if you imagine a newspaper, okay, it was like this, the people be able to, this is a newspaper. Now, when newspapers were sold, they would be folded. Do you remember? Yep. So you come out of the station, there's the man, or come out of work, and before you get on the train, there's the man going, "Evening Standard," and he would have all the papers piled up, and you would be able to only see the important headline. So that's called above the fold. I've actually got it upside down. That's called above the fold because the newspaper is, you can imagine, folded. So the editor of the newspaper would always make sure that the most exciting and enticing headline would be what's called above the fold. Please, please, please make sure that your most important information about how you help people, remember, people don't want to know about what you do. All people care about is how you can help them. If you can put a video on your website right up the top there as well, make sure you can do that as well, because if you put video on your website, the response to your website will go up dramatically. You will get way more people booking to see you if they can see you and get to like the cut of your jib and get to understand who you are. Okay, it dramatically drives response, and you will see a massive uptick in the numbers of people making appointments to come and see you, because people are a little bit worried about seeing complementary medical practitioners. They don't really know what we do. They don't really know if it might be a bit of a scam, because there's a lot of misinformation out there from people who are absolutely funded by the pharmaceutical industry. So this is the thing. We've got to make sure that people understand who we are. So we've got to speak to them using the medium of video. Absolutely crucial. You can also do things very, very important, things like guest posting, podcasting, vlogging, guest posting on people's blogs, being on somebody's podcast, video cast. These are all absolutely crucial to you. One thing I just want to come back to that actually, vlogging, if I can just come back to that for a second. CMA members, I'm sure you'll be aware that we've got this absolutely incredible new membership benefit, which is called CMA Members Showcase Videos. Now, if you haven't really embraced video yet, and it is difficult, it's intimidating to make yourself vulnerable on screen, and think, God, there's a camera pointing at me, and it feels really uncomfortable. And now I've got to talk about myself and tell the world how brilliant I am. It can feel really icky, can't it? So what we've done is we've taken the ick factor out of things by running CMA members showcase videos. So what we're doing is you contact my lovely colleague Megan. Lauren, would you just put Megan's email address in the chat box for me, please? And so you just contact Megan and say, hey Megan, Jayney told me about the CMA members showcase video. Could you please send me the info sheet about it? Because we want to make sure that your showcase video looks really good. So we tell you how to set your lighting up, we tell you how to set up your screen, where to put your camera, how to get your sound sorted out, how to make sure that you've got a good enough internet connection, and so on and so on and so on. And so then what happens is when you've got all of that sorted out, and we even tell you what to buy and where to buy it if you don't have that stuff. We've got all the links for you. So, and we've comparison shopped so that we know that we've got the best and the best deal for you. And obviously, we don't make anything out of that, but it's just part of our service to you as members. Now, what happens is that then you and I, we set up, you get a little date in my diary, we hop onto a Zoom session and I interview you. And because you're there with me, I'm friendly and I'm nice and I'm supportive, and I will interview you about your practice and how you help people, how you decided to get into practice in the first place, how do people get hold of you, tell me about some of your successes and so on. And because you're answering questions, what it means is it doesn't come across as being braggy or big-headed or me at all. You're answering questions in a really informative way, and you've got somebody who's really interested in what you've got to say, and I will make sure that we get the best out of your video. So we do these little videos. They're only 10 minutes. It's nothing scary, and then we put those up on the Complementary Medical Association website, and we give you a copy to put on your webpage. I mean, honestly, it's just a phenomenal membership benefit. So honestly, you should be biting my hand off for it, because it is well worth it, and it will grow your practice. That's what we're doing at the CMA. We're always looking at things that we can do to improve all of your membership benefits and give you more and more and more. The next thing, as I said to you earlier, expert recognition. How on earth do you become recognized as an expert? You've got to understand your expertise. So what is it that makes you truly unique? What is it that makes you stand head and shoulders above the other practitioner who's doing the same discipline as you just down the road? This is where you've got to dig deep. You've got to do this work, because if you don't do it, you will just commoditize yourself and your offering. You'll be just yet another nutritionist. You'll be yet another just a reflexologist, yet another just a homeopath. It's not good enough. That's not going to grow your practice. You'll just be a commodity, and you won't be able to charge a decent rate. You'll just be having to charge exactly the same things everybody else charges. And everybody in this profession, in my humble opinion, undercharges. And you can go and look at my setting your fees video. I've got one of those as well. We've got videos on everything, but you can go and look at my setting your fees and understanding the value of the work that you do over on the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel. Okay, please go and take a look at that. If you're struggling with fees, if you're feeling that you don't really understand your value, if you're not really embracing your true value, then I promise you I can change your mindset in minutes, and you'll really understand how to get your fees to a proper, respectable rate. And it's about valuing the work that you do. So what is it that makes you truly unique? So what I want you to do is, again, go back to where we did the what is your why, okay, and look at why you got into complementary medicine in the first place. Did you have an experience of complementary medicine that brought you to this field? And perhaps you were treated successfully, perhaps something happened, perhaps a member of your family was, but you've got to understand why you got into it. And these are the things that inform your practice. What's your life experience? You know, have you experienced hardship? Have you experienced wonderful things? It's all about you, and it's what individuates you. Okay, what's different about you? What do other people say about your services? If you're in practice already, what do other people say? That will also help you to understand why you are different. Go back to your why and revisit your passion, as I said. Now, how do we establish the expertise? Once you've understood your expertise, we then have to make it bleeding obvious to the world. That's what we have to do. So, as I said, CMA showcase videos for members. Have you ever thought of writing a book? Now, funnily enough, you guessed it, there's a video on that. I did a video on how to write a bestseller. Why? And you know, people say, oh, bestsellers mean all sorts of different things. My latest book, Rewind Your Body Clock, went in at #1, went into Amazon of #1 of all books on Amazon, not just health and well-being or aging or whatever. It went in and stuck at #1 of all books on Amazon. That constitutes a bestseller. The book is still selling like hotcakes. And the Daily Mail serialized it twice, not once, but twice. It has gone absolutely stratospheric. So the other 3 books that I've written have also been bestsellers. So I do know whereof I speak, and I talk you through how to either write a book as an ebook or a real world book, you know, a hardback or a paperback, whether to do self-publishing or whether to go the normal sort of conventional publishing route, the advantages and disadvantages of both. And there are advantages and disadvantages of both. And I tell you all about that. So get yourself a book under your belt, even if it's just an ebook talking about the way that you work and the types of conditions that you can help. Get that up on Amazon or any other, you know, platform. Ebooks are good because ethically, you know, you're not sort of reliant on people needing to pick and pack them and things like that. So I do recommend that you look at that as an option, and other platforms as well. Also look at recording a book for Audible as well. And again, I'm happy to help you with that. I haven't made a video on that yet, but I'm happy to help you with that if there's enough interest. Okay, articles. Can you write articles? Can you write articles online for online magazines, newspapers, etc.? Could you write an article for the Complementary Medical Association website? Could you perhaps write an article for the Complementary Medical Association newsletter that goes out every week? Think about where you can get your name out. How can you get your name out? How can you help people? The thing that people like most are case studies. If you've got good case studies, make sure you get those out with the written permission of the person if you're going to use their name. Okay, always make sure that you've got permission. Very, very important. As I said earlier, speaking to groups live or online, all of this establishes you as the expert in your particular niche. And of course, setting yourself up a YouTube channel, very, very useful because it is free. It's your shop window on the world, and it really does work great. And I've made videos on exactly how to do that for you as well. I never leave you standing, as you know. And also the other thing that's completely free is going live on Facebook. So if you've got a Facebook page, just go live on it. Just go live and talk about my topic of the day is. Just find yourself a topic of the day and talk about it. You know, within your sphere of expertise, you'll be amazed at how that grows your practice. Also, as I said, conferences. Now, oh yes, the heady days of conferences. Won't we ever be allowed to do those again? As I say, you know, I am really looking at creating the next CAM Expo again because it was so fabulous. We all had such a great time, and boy, was it a boost for the profession. So if you can ever get booked at conferences, then, you know, do get yourself booked. Can I just say something here, actually? There's a scam going round, and I just want to make you aware of this. You may find that you get a really official looking invitation. We've identified you as a leader in the field, and we would like to invite you to speak at our Complementary and Alternative Medicine Conference in Japan or Dubai or South Africa or wherever, okay? And you go to the website, it all looks legit, but it's pay to play. And a legitimate conference will never, ever, if they really want you as a practitioner, you will never, ever be charged to speak. do not ever speak at anything where you are being charged to speak, because that is a scam. It really, really is. It's despicable. It truly is. You should be paid to speak, or at least get your expenses covered at the very, very, very bare minimum. Okay, hugely important. So please look out for those. If you ever get any of these really weird things, if you want to run it past me, by all means do so. Okay, really, I'm more than happy just to tell you yay or nay if that's a scam or not, because they look really convincing. And then we've also got to make sure that you understand and convey the value of your services. What is your promise? What is it that ultimately, somebody's looking at your site, for example. Let's take my demographic again, because it's easy for me to talk about it. So my demographic, as I explained, are the women who are suffering from burnout. They're in the corporate world. Their mojo's literally gone, and they're just feeling like a wrung out dish rag. Okay, so so I will say something like, I will ask questions. How are your energy levels? Do you really feel that you're flagging? Have you lost your mojo? How about your libido? How's performance at work? Any of those symptoms that that are absolute hot button points for your demographic, okay? The people you want to serve, your ideal client. This is why we have to be so very, very, very specific, because that way you can speak the same language by asking them the questions that that they're suffering with. So I'll ask those questions, and then I'll say, I work with women who are suffering from burnout and really feel that they're absolutely at the end of their tether. Take a look at my case studies, because you'll find that I've worked with lots of women in exactly that particular situation, and the results have been amazing. Just take a look at what they say for themselves, and I'll point people to the testimonials. You see, it's better if somebody else flies your flag for you, because it's much more convincing. If you watch the video I did on testimonials, if it was last week or the week, I lose track. The weeks are just running into each other this year, it seems. But anyway, the thing I talk about is that people trust testimonials 92% more than they trust what we say on our websites. So this is when I talk about, what is your promise? Your promise comes through testimonials, okay? Because it tells people and it shows them what the transformation is that you provide, how you move them from there to there. That's the transformation, okay? How you get them unstuck. How can you convey this? As I say, really with testimonials, that's absolutely crucial. And finally, the thing I want to come on to, just to finish, is sustainability. What I want you to do in an ideal world, because as I say, I founded the CMA 28 years ago. I've been a practitioner myself for well over 3 decades now, so I've seen it firsthand in my own practice, but also, of course, I've seen and helped and looked after tens of thousands of practitioners just like you, in the same boat as you. So I know what works and I know what doesn't. And this is why I'm saying to you, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Yes, you've got your practice and that's fantastic, but I also want to make sure that you've got other streams of income should a disaster happen. For example, if you suddenly find that the whole country goes into lockdown, those people who were who either had other streams of income or were able to pivot to start to offer something online, were the people who actually really thrived throughout lockdown and continue to thrive. And there's and what they found is that their practices then became international. So they actually grew throughout lockdown. Most people who were able to go online actually grew, which has been very, very interesting. Now, I appreciate that there will be those of us in the group saying that I'm a massage practitioner. If it's lockdown, it's lockdown. Okay, so yes, we did get you back to work, but that was November. So you had from March to November where you weren't, well, and there was a little gap in between, but theoretically you were not supposed to be working at all from March to November until we got you back to work. Now, the thing is that even as a hands-on practitioner, there would be things that you could do. You could create a course. you could teach, you could do all sorts of interesting things. You could actually even do sessions with your clients on how to do self-massage, how, it's stretching and things like that. So there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so what I want to talk about is just some of the multiple streams of income, because please do not put all those eggs in one therapeutic basket. So let's have a look what some of the things, just some of the ideas, we can brainstorm on this, some of the ideas for you. Could you possibly look at having product ranges or supply products within your practice? What are the sorts of things you might like to take on? Things like, I don't know, essential oils, nutritional products, and so on. Don't hold stock. Get a few so that people can actually see them there. You don't need to hold stock because it's very, very tricky and it's very time consuming if you are holding stock of lots and lots of different product lines, and it takes up a hell of a lot of space as well, as you'll appreciate. So I would always have just a few samples so that people can actually see that, yes, you do have things that you sell or you provide. And then what you do is you work with companies who will actually supply the client for you, and then you will get a commission on anything that the client buys. So all the best companies do this, okay? All the best ones do it. So by all means, please just take a look at some of those. You don't just have to be with one company, you can be with all sorts of different companies. What about introducing testing to your practice? Now, we've got various Complementary Medical Association approved suppliers, and we've got one particular company who does hair testing. That's a fantastic thing to do. They've got great amazing practitioner deals that they do. So why not go on the CMA site and go and there's a click through to their website. So those are the sorts of things you could do, or you can actually align yourself with people like Genova Diagnostics and so on. All of these companies have fantastic practitioner training, and also they have amazing, just fantastic commission structures and things like that. So you see, you're not ripping off clients. Don't run away with that idea at all. What you're doing is you are actually adding value-added services to your practice, making your practice even better. So these are just some of the things that you can do. What else could you do? You could do coaching of individuals. Obviously, as practitioners, we sort of do that anyway. But, maybe there are other types of coaching that you can do. And I'm going to come on to my solution for you for that in just a minute. Because, of course, we're the CMA, so we have a solution for you. So I'm going to come on to that in a bit. Also, mentoring in groups. Could you possibly put together groups which would dramatically increase your income if you have people paying a decent amount? I always believe in charging a good, sensible fee, because if you undercharge, people will not value what you do. It's just a fact of human nature. It really, truly is. And so, as a consequence, you've got to make sure that you're charging a sensible rate, such that if you were to create a mentoring group of people, of clients, then you're actually charging a decent rate, and because you've got 5-10 clients in the group, then you're actually going to be earning a very decent rate for perhaps whatever it is, an hour that you spend with them, for example. So this is another way of dramatically increasing the amount of money that you will bring in as compared to the amount of time you're spending. Okay, so I hope that's useful. What about teaching a new course? Well, yes, obviously. So as you know, I'm sure most of you will know, we looked at what we could be doing to support you. And we looked at what's needed out there. What's the thing that's really crucial right now? Well, the big thing going on out there is mental health. Mental health issues are the thing. As we know, during lockdown, people have suffered so badly. Their resilience has suffered, and they are becoming more and more and more unhappy. And so obviously the science of resilience and the science of positive psychology actually addresses those. So what we did was I put together a training course. It's a CPD course. It's only available to practitioners like yourselves, and it's actually in 2 separate chunks. So there are 2 separate sort of levels on this training. One is for you to do very, very inexpensively. Now, I know that I said you've got to charge a decent rate, but we opted to really undercost this course to make it accessible to practitioners who I know have been struggling throughout lockdown. So that's why we priced it as we have. And you only have to go, I'll give you the website later, you only have to go online to actually look at the testimonials we've got to know just how brilliant, to get to know how brilliant this course is. What it is, it's a one-day training. The next one I've got in the diary is for Saturday, the 3rd of July, so make sure you make a note of that. What it gives you, the certificate level, which is the basic, it's the more basic level, it gives you the training so that you can use this new string to your bow with your clients. So it's techniques like happiness, gratitude, neuropsychology, neuroendocrinology, kindness, the neurobiology of happiness, and lifestyle interventions, you name it. It's literally everything. And of course, I know that you're a practitioner with your own expertise. So I've created the presentations so that you can give the presentation, and then at the end, you have time to talk a little bit about the work that you do. But they make brilliant coaching tools. And if you want to go out and use them as presentations to build your practice, you can also do that with them as well. So it's coaching material, but it's also practice growth material. The next level up is the licentiate. So that the top level is the licentiate level, which is where I essentially have created a course in a box for you, where you do the training and you get all the presentations, but I'm working on the basis that you want to take it out into the world and run it as a course yourself. So if you haven't ever run a course, but you've wanted to, but you just didn't know where to start, here's where you start. It's actually done for you, literally a course in a box, so to speak. It's not literally in a box, but I just call it that because it's a funny thing. But yeah, it's all literally done for you. So if you're interested in it, I'm not here to push that course, but I just wanted to let you know that it is another thing that you can use to grow your practice and to get more clients. If you are free on the Saturday the 3rd, then you can simply pop an email through to Lauren. Lauren's email address. Actually, Lauren, if you could put your details in the chat box, that would be great. And then finally, one thing I just want to show you is that if you are going out and giving a presentation, at the end, make sure that you have your copyright notice on display. Okay, and then, as I said to you, if you remember, so we're pretending now that you've been giving one of your wonderful presentations, and you're wrapping up at the end of the presentation by telling people your case studies that are highly relevant to your audience, and you're talking about how you help people just like them, what the transformation is you provide, what's in it for them if they come to see you, and they will be writing this down. You've got to leave this up because people don't, even if you literally dictated your email address, they won't write it down because they'll be hanging on your every word. Learning is a very, very strange thing. But you leave that up, and then, so if you're teaching online, obviously this is important, but if you are giving a presentation in the real world, you'd leave this up perhaps on the screen behind you, and then you'll be giving your case studies, and you will then obviously have leaflets to give out at the end. And I will guarantee you this will drive your business massively beyond belief. Okay, so all of these techniques are rooted in evidence. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now because I see we've got lots and lots of lovely questions. Okay, let me open my chat box here, and I shall be as quick as I possibly can because I don't want to keep it. Oh, Susanna is in Manche, Normandy. Hey, Susanna. Hello. Marilyn's in the UK. East Kilbride. Hey, Tony. Hello there. Oh, who's in Australia? Maxine, hi. Gosh, well, I don't know what time it is for you, but well, I think you probably win the prize for the furthest person, but we shall see. Steve's in Herefordshire. Hi, Sally's in Bulgaria. Yes, of course you are, Sally. Yes. Rita, yes, I said, Rita, you're in Malta. Sue's in Suffolk. Seema's in Eastbourne. Seema, you know I'm a Hastings girl, right? We need to grab a cuppa when we're allowed. Julia's Stroud or Stroud. I never know how to pronounce that. Stroud, isn't it? Stroud, yeah. Oh dear, my brain. It's Friday. You can tell it's Friday, can't you? Sad but true. Richard, hey Richard, we spoke earlier. Hey, there you are. Hi, hello, so nice to see you. Richard's just joined, so he's a new boy, but we're so happy to have you with us. Lovely to see you. Lovely Barbara, I've got you in my diary for next week because we're doing your mentoring session. That's one of the things I should have said, everybody. With the licentiate level, with the positive research, the resilience and positive psychology training, you actually get mentoring with me, and I'm going to be doing group mentoring, small groups, where we actually get together after the training, obviously, because it's a full day of training, but afterwards we get together in small groups and I mentor you. So I actually train you face to face, okay, online obviously at the moment, but that's the thing, that's the big difference between the certificate and the licentiate level. Everybody's saying, hi Lauren, Jill's saying hi from Belgium, Virginia's from Brighton, Bianca's from sunny, of course you're in sunny Oxfordshire, I need to come and see you, Bianca. Sally's saying welcome Lauren, Sue says fantastic news, Bianca says welcome Lauren, Shakir says apologies for lateness, don't worry my love, that's just not a problem at all. Janet says I'd love to see the dissertation. Okay Janet, we'll make a note of that and I'll ping that over to you, lovely. And Simon says like a copy as well, and Tony would like the dissertation. Okay, what we'll do, Lauren and I will make a note of all of this, and then we will make sure. Oh, lots of people want it. You geeks!
I've already made a list, Jayney. I've already made a little list for you, so I'll send it over.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. You absolute superstar. Thank you so very much. Yeah, well, you won't be suffering from insomnia, everybody. That's brilliant. I'm very happy to know it because sleep is very important, as we all know. Okay. Oh, and a lot of people want a copy of the avatar. Okay, we'll send you both as a matter of course. If you don't want the avatar worksheet, that's fine. Okay. Lynn says, what if you don't have 3 case studies yet? That's absolutely fine, Lynn. You could actually go to your avatar. So, you give a case study, and then you could actually go to your avatar. You say, let's say you've got 1 case study, okay? And then actually thinking about it, when you were studying, did you have to work on people? Because when you were studying, those still count as cases, okay? So wherever you've got cases, or even if you just say to a friend who sort of more or less kind of meets your identical, sort of your avatar, the identity of the person that you want. Even if you say to a friend, can we do a couple of sessions just to see, so that I can actually build, build my practice up. It will really help me if I can get it, and then use it as a case study. So get them from wherever you can find them. It doesn't have to be a professionally paid for case study. That doesn't have to happen, okay? Does that help, Lynn? Is that any use at all? Great. Oh, thanks, my darling. And Lynn, I know that you're upgrading and I need to get info through to you, so that's fine. Lauren, would you just make a note that we have to send Lynn Beckers an email, okay? And oh yes, you've got Megan's details there. Megan's email is for the CMA showcase videos, okay? Right. Okay, Shakir says, great question. Could I please explain how what I do is different from how I help you? That is a great question. Okay, so what I do is where you are telling people what you do. So I would say, for example, I'm a homeopath and I practice lifestyle medicine. And that's great, but you know what? It's kind of so what, because nobody knows what, your public, your potential client does not know what lifestyle medicine is. It's a pretty new thing. So they can probably have a guess at it, but they have no idea how it applies to them. So how I can help you is where you will talk about how people who have a particular set of circumstances, conditions, pain points that we spoke about earlier on, which is not physical pain, remember, it can be physical pain, but it doesn't have to be. Pain points are anything that moves the person from their comfort zone, also known as stressors. What is it that distresses that person? What are they worried about? Those are their pain points. So it's talking about those, knowing that you're talking to a target audience. Does that make sense for you? I hope that explains. If not, put it again, ask the question another way so I can elaborate, okay? Great, let's have a little look. Oh, Oh, Richard says, I've almost completed my book called Fatherless Child. Oh, Richard, well done. Could you, of course, you know, as a member, you must let us know about that. We will publicize it for you. And, you know, I'll bring you on. We'll do an interview about it and get, you know, same for everybody. You know, guys, if you've got anything that you need help with promoting, this is what we do for CMA members. Just drop me a line. We'll run a little ad, or not an ad, but no, we don't like to run ads in the newsletter. That's not really what it's for, but it's for articles. It's got to be interesting. It's not just a sort of a puff piece, you know. Hey guys, I'm so fantastic because I blah, blah, blah. It's not like that. Remember, again, you're speaking in the newsletter, you're speaking to practitioners, and you're sharing information that could be of use to them. So it's got to be relevant, okay? So what we'll do, for example, for Richard, he's nearly finished his book. We will make sure that we cover his book. We'll do a review for him. We'll do all sorts of bits and pieces, make sure that we tell you guys where you can get his book and all of those sorts of things. We're here to support you. Remember that we're only ever a phone call away. We're only ever an email or a social media message. That's all we are. Honestly, we're here to support you because you support us by being our members. So well done, Richard. I know how hard it is to write books. It's bloody hard work. Okay, yeah, Vanessa says, sounds interesting. Sue says, well done, Richard. It's how a fatherless child has to grow into a man in today's world without a father's guidance and then becomes a father himself. How his life turns out is about my experience. Wow, it sounds very needed, actually, very, very needed. It sounds beautiful. I can't wait to read it. And Richard said, oh, Sue says, can you let me know when it's out, please, Richard? Richard, when is it out? Unmute yourself. Hang on, there you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. So yeah, thank you very much for that introduction. It's very, very kind of you. So the book is literally, I'm just down to a few little pages left now. I've currently got a publishing company looking at it, wanting more and more for me to get to finish it as soon as I possibly can. So I will get it done now that you know, I've had a lot of support from it, and a lot of people are championing me to get it done and finish it. But it really is important in today's world, purely, and you are correct, because too many children in today's world are struggling, one-parent families and so forth, and the loss of a parent. And I was the same. I lost my father. I'm 48 years old now, and here's how it has affected me. My father died when I was 6 years old, and I'm still on that journey now of still figuring out how I've managed to bring in children into this world. You know, there's no book out there to tell people. You know, as being as a parent, we all learn through life experiences, and we all make the mistakes up and down throughout life. So it's generally about that, and how I've got to have my wonderful children in today's world.
Absolutely.
But there's been some ups and some downs as well.
Yes, of course. Yes, I can well imagine. I can't wait. I cannot wait to read it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Brilliant. Can't wait. Tony said, got to go. Thank you for another brilliant tutorial. Oh, you had to head off. That's fine. Yes, Lynn, I've got your message. That's fine. I hadn't forgotten. It's been really, really hectic here. Doug says, hi, Jayney. What did you learn, reformat, and the approach to Course in a Box? Is there any particular advice I can share? Right. Okay. So is that question really, Doug, about how did I come up with the concept of how to create this? I just looked at what was needed out there and realized that, you know, the biggest struggle that we practitioners can really, really help with is mental and emotional health, because we all are helping people anyway. And I felt that if I could equip people on the course with really solid, massively evidence-based, every single thing on the course is evidence-based. So for example, if you went into a highly stressed environment, let's say you went into, let's say you were I know, like, okay, for example, if you were doing a presentation using the course material to a group of doctors, let's say, in a really, really highly stressed environment, which they are, then, you know, you've got a group of doctors sort of all sitting there like, okay, right, you're a complementary medicine person. What, you know, show us what you got then, show us what you got, bring it on. And, you know, they're going to then say, oh, well, that's all very interesting. So how do you know that? Well, literally, I have got every single reference for you for every single thing I say. I know loads of you have been on the course and you're nodding. So yeah, so I hope that helps, Doug. That's how I came up with the concept. Oh, Janet says, I'll be using some of what I learned on the course for the first time with a client next Thursday. Brilliant. Well done. I can't wait. Let me know how you get on. Sally says it's an amazing course. Thank you so much. That's really kind. Lovely. Oh, Barbara says it was an excellent course. I'd highly recommend it. I honestly don't want to sort of have you think I'm pitching the course. I'm really not. But the thing is that I do just want to let you know that it is available, okay? And it has been very, very, very good. So Janet says it was excellent as well. Ellen says, do we get a replay of this presentation or the slides sent out? Thanks, Ellen. That's a great question. So what we do is it is recording. In next Wednesday's CMA newsletter, you'll see a link to the video. Okay, so Megan, my colleague Megan, edits it. She tops and tails it and takes out any of my sort of initial chit chat and stuff before I'm recording and all the rest of it. And so yes, you know, you won't get the slides, you'll get the presentation. Okay, Andrew's in Bexhill, yes. Holly's in Thailand. Oh my gosh. How fantastic is that? Oh my word, you're such an international bunch. Charlotte says, many thanks indeed, Jayney. It's always excellent session, has to go. I know Charlotte always likes to go. She's always, Charlotte says, like to recommend the course. Simply the best. Bless you, darling. And Jill says, thank you so much, Jayney, and welcome to the CMA, Lauren. Vanessa wants the, yeah, okay, she wants the dissertation, and as does Jane. And Natasha said she wants the course details. That's fine, we can get those to you. Barbara says, would love the dissertation. Yes, dissertation. Yes, that's fine. Lauren says, no, we haven't. Holly says, can I put a link to where the course is? No, we don't. I don't have a link to it because I was looking just before, I was looking at dates and I've just decided on the 3rd. So I've got to put the course up, and as soon as I have, I'll be able to give you the link. It'll be in this coming week's CMA newsletter. Okay, watch out for it in the newsletter. I'll make sure you get it. Okay. Right, Susan says, I found this so interesting, useful. Thank you. I'd love a copy of the dissertation. That's great. Lovely. Thank you, Bianca. Yes, that's people asking for the dissertation and so on. And Avatar, yep. Right, Susanna wants to send me, she sent me a direct message. Let's just read that. I don't read direct messages out. Okay, that's fine. Actually, Lauren, would you be so kind as to put my email address in? You may have done so already, but it's for everybody. It's Jayney at, it's the same as Lauren, so it's Jayney at the-cma.org.uk. Right, okay. Shakir says she would like to do the course. That's great. Love to have you, Shakir. And can she book a chat session with me? Yes, but by all means, yes, that's fine. Yep, that's great. Glad you enjoyed today. That's lovely. And missed Megan's link. Yep, we can put that in again. That's fine. Thank you so much for the session. That's lovely. Marilyn says, forgot to ask about your publisher. Richard, I think what you'll need to do is just let us know, actually, and then we can send it to everybody. Barbara says, book sounds brilliant, Richard. It really does sound amazing, Richard. This is from Maxine. I really already have somebody in mind who would love to read it. Absolutely, yes. Actually, I know my mum would love to read it, as would I. Richard says, you might, Hironisa, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct, Hironisa. And Richard, you might be interested in Dr. Gabor Mate's work about trauma. Yes, actually that's true, but you probably know about that, I'm sure, but if not, check out Gabor Mate. Sima says, as a suggestion, I focus on helping individuals with long-term pain. So I've invited a few people as case studies from a few target groups such as fibromyalgia, arthritis, etc., to work with me at a special price. Oh, that's brilliant, Sima. Is that like on Facebook? Oh, Seema, love it. That is a brilliant idea. Thank you so much for sharing that. You angel. See, this is how these groups work. Everybody helps. You know, this is what I love so much about it. It's the same actually with the course. We have an alumni group on Facebook, and it's really lovely because everybody really helps each other. It's so wonderful. Sandra says she had to go, but big kisses to everybody. Thank you, lovely Sandra. Hirani says they've been really helpful. Susan says, sorry, I have to go. I know we are running over. I do apologise, but it's been a really very interesting session, very, very vibrant with all your questions. Right, okay, look, I'm just going to quickly go just to see if there are any questions. Lots of people saying thank you, for which I thank you. It really means so much to all of us at the CMA. Jayney, also it was about the format. After running it, would you keep the format and approach to how you ran it, as it looked really good, although I haven't done it yet? Yes, Doug, everything, so you get lifetime access. So what happens is that I take you through all of the presentations on the day so that you know exactly how to present each of the individual modules. And I show you how you can add your own bits into it. Okay, so we're all different practitioners. So you'll come in and you'll say, and this is what I do in this particular situation. Do you see what I mean? That's sort of how it works. But you have lifetime access to it and all the additional ebooks and all the various other bits and pieces we've written for you to give to your clients. There's a lot to it. Right, okay, let's just quickly run through. I don't want to keep you. Christina says she's from Petworth. Yay! Thank you, Lauren. Megan at the-cma.org.uk. I should say Megan is MEGAN. So it's Megan that you contact regarding how to get set up for the CMA members showcase interviews. Oh, Lynn says, give more of my love to Roberta, please. Oh, and how's my mum? Mum's doing well, thank you, Lynn. Yes, I've been looking after mum really intensively this last couple of weeks, which is why I'm late getting that email to you. It's been intense, Lynn, let me tell you. I won't go into details, but it's been intense. Anyway, right, okay, yes. Oh, Caroline says, yeah, we're meeting up in Pevensey, week commencing 21st of June. Ooh, yes, actually, we've got a little posse of us down south, haven't we? We need to get together. Right, okay. Rita says, thank you. I hope all is well in Malta. Lovely, Rita. And, oh, Marilyn says, that how many modules are there? In the course, there are 6 modules that I've created for you, with the idea being that you, with your clients, if you're doing the certificate level, you would, you know, each module is different. So there's loving kindness and compassion. There's things like, oh gosh, positive psychology. So all of the research, what is positive psychology and so on. Then there's things like the neurobiology of happiness, to get really geeky about things and explain to the client why we're doing, what we're doing works and why. Okay. Oh boy, sad, poor old girl. Anyway, and various other, you know, so 6 modules. So they all sort of stand alone, or they all slot together, and there's no repetition really between the modules. So I present it all on the one day, and then it gives you the tools to take away and do coaching with your clients, and to advertise that you do resilience and positive psychology training. So with your clients, so that you can actually use it to build your practice. Or if you want to start running it as a course, then you do so once you've done the training with me. That's just the difference between the two. I hope it explains things. Okay, it sounds very professional. Yes, it is. Okay, lovelies. All right, I think we've managed to quickly go through all of the questions. So if there's anything else, just let me know. But I really feel I should let you go now because it's been a long session. But honestly, Lauren, thank you so much for being with us. You're such a star, and you're just such a precious, lovely lady. And so we're really lucky to have you, Lauren. And thank you to you all. Honestly, it's just been such a pleasure as always. Please, all of you, keep shining your beautiful light out into the world. I cannot thank you enough for the work that you do. You are all absolutely flipping amazing, and I'm in absolute awe of you, every single one. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you same place, same time next week. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye. Thanks very much.
Bye, loves. Bye.
Thank you.